The purpose of this show is to guide you to realign with habits that get you to live the life you've always dreamed of. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast with Jesse Yule. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle, where you can access your full potential right now. Finally break free from destructive habits. That dream life, if you want it, you can have it. This is where you transform your health, mind, business, and relationships. Or do nothing and keep your life the way it is. But if you're ready for change, you're in the right place. This is where you're gonna learn how to live a habit-based lifestyle. You are tuning in to the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast with your host, Jesse Yule. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle. Let's go.
Mountain habits. So we're going to talk about these habits called mountain habits. But before we do so, I want you guys to think about something for a second. We've all seen like these big outcomes, these big goals that we set every year. We set these huge outcomes. Some of us do, some of us don't even set them. But wherever you are at in your life, whatever goal or habit you want to create or whatever goal you want to get to, I want you to think of that goal or this thing that you want as a mountain. And at the top of that mountain lies this goal that you want to achieve. And we've all heard this advice before. We've all heard this story of, hey, how do you actually climb to the top of the mountain? And I want you to think about this for a minute. Literally, you have to put one foot in front of the other. And the idea here is whenever you're faced with a large goal, a complex goal, all you need to do is to take the initial step. That is the hardest step that you need to take. Literally, the first step is always the hardest, no matter what. If you're thinking about working out, the hardest step you could take and the hardest thing to do is to literally walk through the gym doors, to take that initial step, to initially go into the gym. I can remember how many people were literally terrified to go to a gym because they were afraid of what people would think of them. And they were afraid to take that initial step, and that held them back from actually getting started. And the minute they took that first step, they realized that nobody really paid attention. Nobody really cared that they were there other than themselves. So here's the big problem. Most people will not apply this mindset to their lives. You see, when you're forced with a large goal, a large project, the typical thing we do is we procrastinate or we avoid this altogether. Because this mountain that we look up at, this top of the mountain is unsurmountable. It seems nearly impossible. And I would also have you consider that there's a gap in between where you are today. So imagine, you're at the starting place and you look across this gap or this canyon, and up on the other side is this mountain. And this mountain requires you to initially take the leap and take the first step. And as you begin to take this first step, you realize you begin down this journey, or should I say up this journey. And you begin to climb the mountain slowly. But if we keep focused at the top of the mountain, we lose track of the steps along the way. And we begin to get paralyzed. We begin to procrastinate on the next step. But if we just continue to move forward and take this initial step, no matter how big or small it is, we are chipping away and using what I call a mountain habit. A mountain habit is simply designed for you to get to the top of the mountain and to climb this mountain, to actually move this mountain, to overcome your natural resistance that every one of us feels. Whenever we're faced with a potential risk, a potential unpleasant task, a climb to the top of somewhere, there's always going to be this thing called resistance. Resistance actually lets me know I'm on the right path. Resistance actually lets me know the direction I'm headed in is the right path, is the correct direction. Now imagine if you have no resistance. Like, you should be really worried if you have little to no resistance, because climbing up a mountain has a natural resistance that's different than walking on flat land. That's right. Climbing up a mountain is completely different than walking on flat land. That's why it's more challenging. That's why it feels more resistance. That's why it creates more resistance. A mountain habit will simply help you move the mountain. It will simply help you take this one step. And the goal here is not to do it all at once. It's simply to chip away one single step at a time. It's like taking a project or consuming an outcome, a goal in 5, 10, 15-minute increments every day. And you can do this with a much larger task, and you can do this much more. Think of these tasks like decluttering your home. If you haven't done it in a while, all of a sudden, Saturday, you're faced with this idea of, hey, I got to declutter my home. The reality of it is that is a huge mountain for you to climb. And as crazy as it may seem for some, for others, it's like, man, I haven't paid attention to this for years. Moving and changing houses. It is a huge mountain you're going to have to climb and you're going to have to move. Even organizing paperwork if you own your own business. This time of year, you're getting taxes in order and you're having to get everything in order. And it feels unsurmountable. It feels like this mountain. Studying for an exam, a test, something you are doing to improve yourself, even a presentation. It feels like a mountain that you are moving. It feels like a mountain you must climb. Even marketing deadlines, launching a new campaign, a new program, or something new inside of your business, even selling your business. I can remember a year ago, this time of year, sitting in this place of procrastination, hesitation, and paralyzation that simply kept me stuck from initially taking the first step in climbing the mountain and selling the mountain of selling my business. This is also another thing that goes into working out. If you come from the couch and you're going straight into a workout, it feels like a mountain. Sitting at the top is the 30, 40, 50 pounds you have to lose. But the initial step is what kickstarts everything. You see, I use these mountain habits whenever I'm faced with something that's unpleasant and I have no real clue or idea how I'm going to complete the climb to the top, how I'm going to move the mountain. Rather than worrying about doing every single step, I focus on one step at a time, and I can do that in 5, 10, 15 minutes a day. It keeps me moving forward, and the more that I'm able to do that, the more successful I can be. You see, mountain habits have a very similar framework as what we talked about last time, which were these support habits. There were these mini habits. It was a mini habit that actually supported a bigger habit. When you tell yourself that something is only going to take 5 minutes of your time, it's much easier to convince yourself to do that actual activity than what you originally thought. So I want you to think about this today. And I'm going to ask you some questions and give you an assignment to follow through and make sure you're on the right track. Identify the mountain that has been in your way the last 3 to 6 months, whether it's climbing to the top or moving it. You're going to describe simply how it feels, what it feels like, and how it's held you back. Then you're going to identify the one step you're going to take today to simply take that initial leap and get moving forward. And remember, this step has got to take you less than 5 minutes. Too often we choose this huge chunk. Oh, it's going to take me 30 minutes. So then what do? You don't start. So you're going to identify, number one, identify what mountain has been in your way in the last 3 to 6 months. Describe what it feels like, how it's held you back, and then you're going to identify the one step that you're going to take today to get moving forward, and it has to take 5 minutes or less. So guys, this is it for today. This is part of your 3-part series of these cascade habits, support habits, and mountain habits, and you can see how they all can work off of each other. You can see how these habits, these 3 different variables of habits, can support you in your quest in 2019 to getting the results that you ultimately want. You guys are more than welcome to email me at jesse@habitbasedlifestyle.com. You can also check out my website, habitbasedlifestyle.com. You can also listen into the next podcast, leave me a review. Let me know if you have any questions. I would be more than happy to help you. 2019 is your year that you can't be stopped. Until next episode, have a great day.
The purpose of this show is to guide you to realign with habits that get you to live the life you've always dreamed of. This is the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast with Jesse, you.